Hey guys, in this guide I'm going to be going over the best methods for leveling all the way up to 110 currently. There's quite a few methods I'm going to be going over in this guide, so chances are there's something that you will enjoy. Please, if you found any of this info useful, please hit that subscribe button. It helps me a lot. Alright, let's get started. Alright, so I'm going to break this down by expansion. There's going to be 1 through 60, 60 through 70, 70 through 80, 80 through 85, 85 through 90, 90 to 98, and then 98 to 110. Alright, so we're going to start with vanilla levels, level 1 to 60. I start out by going to either level 10 or level 15 depending on which method you want to do. I'll go over that in a little bit here. So first method is questing. Just do all of the quests in your starting area, and then once you finish those quests, go to the next area, which will be a level 1 to 20 area outside of your starting area until you reach level 10 or level 15. Another method for leveling from level 1 to 10 or level 1 to 15 is grinding mobs with fast respawns or enough mobs in the area that you are always killing something. Example of these spots are for Alliance, east of Goldshire. There's a bunch of Murlocs and Wolves. The location will be on the screen. In this spot, you basically just keep pulling mobs non-stop. The Murlocs are super fast respawn. The Horde spot isn't as good, but it's east of Razor Hill, foaming sea elementals and surf crawlers. I don't know of a better grinding spot. I was searching and I couldn't find anything. So if anyone knows of a better horde grinding spot, please leave a comment letting us know. I can get to level 10 in about 15 minutes, and I can get to level 15 in about 30 to 40 minutes, but it depends on the class. If your class is really good at dotting and multi-target, you can do this. But if you're a class that can't multi-target or dot, I would just quest. Alright, now that you've hit level 10 or 15, this is when we start to queue up for the next methods. The first and probably best leveling method is doing random Battlegrounds. Battlegrounds unlock at level 10, so if you prefer doing PvP for leveling, I would just quest/grind until you hit level 10 and then begin to queue up for Battlegrounds. Some Battlegrounds give more XP than others, and some are just faster than the others. And of course, you won't win every single BG. Since there's a lot of different variables with BGs, it's hard to say you'll get like X amount of experience or levels per hour, but you should get around 10 to 40% XP for a loss depending on the battleground, and you should get up to 50 to 100% XP for a win depending on the battleground. The reasons battlegrounds are easy is because there's a lower queue time than dungeons for DPS classes, and you can complete most BGs within 10 to 15 minutes. So as long as you're winning at least 50% of your battlegrounds, I would choose this method. If you're losing most of your battlegrounds with like a low percent XP, I would suggest doing the next method until you make it into the next battleground bracket, and then try again. Next method is going to be queuing up for random dungeons. Random dungeons unlock at level 15. Again, just quest or grind up to level 15 and begin to queue for random dungeon finder. Like BGs, you should expect different amounts of XP per dungeon because some dungeons have more quests, some dungeons have more bosses, and straight up some groups are just going to be slower at clearing the dungeon. Each dungeon should give around 50 to over 100% XP for completing it. Tanks, I would recommend queuing up for dungeons over BGs because your queue times are going to be pretty much instant and you get to kind of control the pace of the dungeon. Healers, I would maybe go back and forth and see between PGs and dungeons which queue is faster. Also, I found at night as a healer I get faster queue times than during the day. Sometimes during the day I have to wait a couple minutes for my queue to pop. DPS, you better find a tank friend or a healer friend to queue with. If you're going to queue solo, you can quest or pet battle in between queue times, as you're going to be waiting a long time in between dungeons. The pros and cons of doing dungeons. The pros are going to be you get super fast queue times as a tank and sometimes as healers. You can collect really expensive like transmog gear and some really cool pets. The cons are going to be the really slow queue time for DPS, and you could get a group that's full of people that have never played before and your dungeon could take extra long. If you're interested in pet battles, I'll link you to a forum with a lot of info that has a lot of good spots. It has pets that people recommend. That will be all in the description below. If you're looking to do quests, I will also link a level 1 through 60 questing guide down in the description as well. It has suggested zones and alternatives, and it will tell you how to get to place. I don't believe war mode works for BGs or dungeons because they're instances, but it does work with questing and pet battles, so maybe turn on war mode if you're going to be doing questing or pet battles. I would recommend leveling to 60, then going to Northrend. I start Howling Fjord for Horde and Borean Tundra for Alliance. I find that the quests are better for those factions in those zones, but that's just my opinion. Either way, once you finish your starting zone of choice, I go to Dragonblight. You should be able to hit 70 in Dragonblight. If you're doing random BGs, continue queuing for those while you're questing in between queues. At 60, you should also be able to queue for random Lich King dungeons if you're doing dungeons. After Dragonblight, you should have hit 70. If you didn't, that's fine. Just go to the opposite starting zone and quest there until you're 70. The order of zones after you've hit 70 is Zul'Drak, Sholazar Basin, and then if you still need more XP, go to Storm Peaks or Ice Crown and do those starting quests, and that should be enough to get you to 80. Continue queuing for random Lich King dungeons or random BGs until you hit level 80. Alright, now we're on to Kata. These are going to be levels 80 to 85. I quest in Hyjal while I queue for random mob dungeons or random BGs. Doing a couple dungeons or BGs while you're questing in Hyjal should get you to 85 in just a few hours or less. Pro tip, in Hyjal, inside the inn, there's a vendor. Her name is Iris Moon Dreamer. She'll sell you some decent level starting greens for level 80. Alright, it's time for Mist of Pandaria, levels 85 to 90. You're going to be questing in the Jade Forest while you queue up for random Mist of Pandaria dungeons, or just queue up for BGs while you're questing. Alright, so we're on to Warlords of Draenor, which is 90 to 98. If you can't fly, I would suggest questing in your starting zone. For Horde, Frostfire Ridge, and once you finish those quests, go to Gorgrond. For Alliance, you're going to start in Shadowmoon Valley and then finish in Talador. If you can fly, just fly around and do all the bonus quests. Even if you can't see them on your map, you can still do them. I will link a guide in the description which has a map of all of the bonus quests. They look like crossing swords on your map. I do not recommend buying the Elixir of Rapid Mind as they cost a lot of gold. At the current value, they are worth about 1/6 of just buying a boost. Doing all these I think gets you to 96 to 97. You may have to quest for a little bit after you do all of these, but it should only take a couple hours for a lot of levels. This is the fastest way to level out of Warlords of Draenor. Tips for Warlord of Draenor. In your garrison, there is a garrison quartermaster. Alliance, his name is Sergeant Crowler. Horde, his name is Sergeant Grimjaw. These vendors sell potions of accelerated learning, which gives you 20% bonus XP from completing quests and killing monsters. You should be buying and using these as they only cost 100 garrison resources each. Also, in the Warlord of Draenor, there are treasures on the map. There's an add-on called Handy Notes and Handy Notes Draenor Treasures. If you get these two add-ons, it'll put on your map a bunch of little icons that'll tell you where all the rare mobs are and all of the treasures are. I'll link the add-ons in the description below. Alright, so for 98 to 110, I just have tips for leveling in Legion. 1. Do the invasion points on the map when they're available. They will give you the most XP. There's a site that will help you track the next invasion called invasiontimer.com. I can put that in the description, so if you guys need that, it'll be down there. Number 2, if you have flying, do whatever zones you want. However, if you don't have flying, maybe start with Azuna or Val'Sharah, where it's like not all hills, like the other zones. So using this method, you should expect around 5 to anywhere around 20%